Welcome to Wiseheads, where experienced specialists share practical thinking to help you build a better business and make better business decisions. This week, I'm delighted to be joined by Chris Asahara. Chris has spent more than 20 years working across brand and social media in Tokyo, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Auckland, helping brands including Adidas, Les Mills, Gatorade, PlayStation, Pioneer, Southwest Airlines, and Pennzoil. He spent a career thinking about how brands show up, how they build audiences, and how businesses with far fewer resources can make social media work harder and smarter. Chris, thank you for joining me.
It's good to be here, Adam. Thank you so much.
Having worked with businesses at both ends of the scale, what do smaller businesses tend to misunderstand most about social media?
The biggest misunderstanding is that they have to do everything. They see brands on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. God forbid they're on X, but they're all like on every platform. And then so many small business owners, they're like, I've got to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different platforms. You don't have to do it all. You don't have to do it all at the beginning, let alone you don't have to do it all down the road. Just pick 1 or 2 and then go from there.
Let's touch on organic social a little bit. Let's say 10 years ago, businesses expected organic social to help them build an audience. What role does organic realistically play today?
Organic still is a key element that you need to have. It's not the only solution, but it definitely is something that you can't ignore. And the role to me that organic really plays is it's that one place that reminds people that they've made the right choice. Yes, it could do a little bit of acquisition, but to me, the main purpose is to go like, yes, you've kind of bought into this brand. You still love the brand. You still want to be engaged with the brand. So it's really kind of just almost like reminding those people like, hey, you chose us for a reason. Here's why.
What if you've got a following of under 100 people? Is it still worth pursuing organic if you just simply don't have a following?
The amount of followers you have, frankly, doesn't matter at all, especially in the organic space. If I were just to, let's say, the 2 big platforms, right, Instagram and TikTok, the way that Reels and TikTok work, your follower count has no bearing whatsoever. It's more important to have really good content that is going to reach people that might find it interesting, useful, helpful, you name it. And so that's why it doesn't really matter if you have 100 followers. If you have great content, that actually might reach 100,000 people. They're not your followers, but they're still people that you're going to reach. I've had clients that go, we need to get to 10,000 followers. And I'm like, why? It doesn't matter. If you're trying to just get to new people, just put out really good content. Focus on the content itself, not so much about making sure that they follow you.
Let's explore quality versus quantity in the organic space. Let's say you're a small business. What matters more? Posting frequently and staying visible, or creating fewer things that are genuinely useful, entertaining, distinctive, or worth engaging with?
I think really the most critical thing is consistency. So it's actually not, it's not about quality or quantity. It's about being consistent. And I get it, with certain clients and stuff, they're like, wait, I have to post every single day. I don't have the time for that. Totally get it. But what you want to be is consistent. So if it means 3 times a week, if it means 5 times a week, that's fine. But it's about just showing up consistently. The algorithm will reward you for that. The biggest mistake is when you go, okay, hey, we're going to be super active for 2 weeks and we're just going to pump a bunch of stuff. And then you go, oh man, it's too hard. Let's take a break, or other things have happened. Let's be quiet for a week or 3 weeks and then come back and then, go off. That's when you get really penalized. The algorithms for your platforms, they just love that consistency. They love counting on you that you will show up with content.
Does the algorithm care if you are showing up consistently and frequently because you're able to now do so pretty quickly via the LLMs and generate quite a lot of content that will look and feel and sound the same en masse? Do the algorithms appreciate human-made versus AI-made?
The human consumer that is consuming your content appreciates real, authentic stuff more than AI stuff. But there definitely has been a backlash where consumers are just going, I don't want to see this AI stuff. I want to see real human stories, real human-made content, stuff that is literally shot on a phone and it's, point of camera and just be like, hey guys, I'm right here on the beach, blah, 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 blah. It's very raw. That stuff is making a massive comeback in terms of what people are craving because they've been fed so much slop in 2025, the 26. And I'm going to say that 27 is probably still going to continue where people are just going to crave real content.
Let's talk about organic and B2B. You and I are both trying to sell our wares to businesses as a case in point. How does organic social work within our environment?
I don't think organic is necessarily the place to be selling directly. I think it's the place to be building the credibility. It's about providing value. It's providing thought leadership. It's really more about convincing people that they're going to make the right choice or that they have made the right choice. At the end of the day, they're just normal humans as well. Reach them where they are, right? If that procurement person or that marketing manager is not on LinkedIn looking for like, okay, hey, what's the next greatest SaaS product that is going to solve my problems? Like, no, they're usually on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok looking at just stuff, entertaining themselves just like everybody else.
There's a theory that people are consuming LinkedIn content when they're in a work headspace. And when people are consuming Meta and thumbing through the Meta space, that's when they're in their me time. And it's not necessarily the right environment to be hijacking that me time. Am I wrong in that hypothesis?
Some of the best business decisions I've made have been in the shower. I'm so not even thinking about work. And then suddenly the thing pops up. We don't really turn off our business brains. Our business brains are going on all the time, right? I think it's putting it too simply that we're on 9 to 5 for this, and then we switch off and then we're like personal time. I think that is always interchanging and whatnot. And so when I think about that, I wouldn't try to simplify it down to like you're either on or off.
If we were to tell a SME or a smaller business that have a limited amount of budget, where should they allocate their spend? Towards production more or towards sort of paid media more in the social channels?
I'd probably put most of it into paid, especially if you're an SME. I think the mistake that's a lot of them do is they want to look really professional. They want to look high production. They want to look legitimate and serious. And when it comes to social, like people don't care about that much. Nobody's going to be going, oh my God, that video was so, unproduced or what. Like nobody's going to say that, right? They're just going to be like, okay, is this great content or not? What I would rather be doing is spending minimal, but to be able to create a lot of content. So you have a big bank of content, but at low production. So it doesn't cost you that much. And then take that money and spend it elsewhere, spend it in paid to test and learn and see like, okay, hey, what works, what doesn't work. So yeah, I definitely would put more into paid if that's where you really need to drive acquisition. And then, just make a bunch of rough, raw stuff and go from there.
Do influencers work?
No, short answer is influencers don't. What I am excited about though is using content creators to create content for you at scale and at very low cost. And honestly, like a lot of these ones, like $100, $200, and it's great. Again, what we were saying earlier, human content, raw, real, authentic and stuff, what people are craving. Now you've got this engine of content creators that are making stuff on your behalf that's really, really authentic and raw that you yourself don't necessarily have the capacity or the capabilities to build because you're an SME, right? That kind of usage of quote unquote influencers or content creators, love that. But in terms of like, paying someone $30,000 to push a product, ooh, man, to get the returns on that, good luck.
I've sat across a few boardrooms over the years and we've sat through the famous delights of the post-campaign report, where often the media person will sit forward and proceed to share with the client that they achieved their campaign targets of X million impressions. In your view, is impressions a real measure of success and campaign performance?
Impressions are one of the worst metrics that you could be looking at. We all know impressions. It's literally like how many times a piece of content has been seen. And I always go, well, I could be that one person that has seen that piece of content 1 million times. And then I report that, oh my God, our stuff got 1 million impressions. I don't think my boss would be very happy to find out that those million ended up just being seen by one person. What the issue is there is that people are getting confused between reach and impressions. Reach is literally like how many people we are going to get to, how many different people we're going to get to, versus impressions is just how many times the stuff was seen. And then from there, I probably would look at shares. Shares has been kind of the new thing to indicate that people are really resonating with their content. Because I think where social has evolved is less and less people are about like, okay, hey, what's just on Instagram, what's on TikTok, but it's really about like, what am I sending my friends on DMs? What am I texting my friends, or what am I sending via WhatsApp? I want to see like, okay, hey, how many people have said this is funny, or this is interesting, or this is inspiring, and sent it to my 5 closest friends. So yeah, I probably look at shares as one that is emerging quite a bit these days to go. That really tells you the quality of your content.
Now that AI can write a post, create the image, edit the video, schedule a post, and publish it pretty much at the click of a button. For a small business that has already struggled to create enough content, is that a genuine opportunity for them to consider?
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes. I'm a big proponent of AI being a great tool to facilitate like speed and the mundane work of social. Where I think it becomes dangerous is when they start using AI to replace the human factor. But if it gets to a place where, let's say, hey, I'm going to use AI because I don't have time to shoot video and stuff like that. So I'm just going to have AI, create an avatar of me to talk about these things. Then that's where I go, that starts getting dangerous, because you're kind of moving away from that authenticity. It's really more, let's say, when you're replacing the human element to your content, that's a slippery slope.
When you look at a business, or when you look at businesses that are genuinely good at social, what are they doing differently?
They're taking risks. They are, willing to try lots of different things and not get too caught up in like their brand, their box and whatnot. And they're really willing to explore and try different things and understand that social is pretty forgiving. So that's probably the biggest thing that I see that makes them successful.
What do you think about seasonal social media posting, or leveraging a moment, International Women's Day, from a brand perspective, and coming up with sometimes quite forced piece of content to say, we acknowledge that this is a thing that is a part of culture. Here's our brand's representation of that thing today.
My biggest thing is always checking, like, as a brand, do we legitimately have something to say about this? Because it fits our business, not because it's just something that everybody is jumping onto. It's got to be like, okay, how does it tie back to what we do, what we sell, what we provide? If there isn't a connection, don't get involved.
Okay, well, let's take a challenger or a scaling brand that has relatively low awareness and isn't yet on many people's consideration set, but they think they've got something special and worthy on getting onto people's radars. Is social the right channel to solve that awareness problem, or does it tend to work harder once there's already some established level of awareness that has been set up elsewhere?
If you're a challenger or like a startup, I think it's a great place to start. If you think about like how organic works now in terms of the ability to reach non-followers, it's based on your content. It's a pretty low cost to low barrier to entry. And so I think social in that sense is phenomenal. Even from a paid perspective, it still is quite affordable compared to other channels that you might have. So if you're a startup or a challenger, 100% you should be on social to begin with. And like, I'd be putting like a ton of effort into that space.
Imagine I'm a business owner watching this with limited time, limited budget, and nobody internally dedicated to social. Where should I begin?
I would start by just recording yourself a lot and get over the cringe factor. That's probably the number one thing that stops people, is they're worried that someone is not going to like their content. Just creating content, a lot of it, and just putting it out there. That's where you need to start. The number one thing that stops people is the cringe factor, that they go, someone's not going to like it. You got to get over that. And you just got to put stuff out into the world and see what happens.
If there is one thing any business watching this should take away from this conversation, one piece of advice when it comes to social media, what do you think should be?
Social media is the long game. It's not the short game. It's about just showing up consistently. That's the number one thing. The numbers are going to ebb. They're going to flow. You're going to get some hits. You're going to get some lows. But social media is always about the long game. It's not a one-hit wonder. It's not about going viral. It's about just showing up consistently to your audience.
Chris, thank you so much for your time today. I think what comes through really strongly is that social media isn't simply about posting more, chasing followers, or accumulating impressions. It's about being clear on what you're trying to achieve, who you're trying to reach, and then understanding the role that organic, paid, and the different platforms can actually play in getting you there. And at a time when producing content has never been easier, perhaps being deliberate about what you put out there and whether it's actually worth someone's attention has never been more important. Thanks again for your time.
It was an absolute pleasure, Adam. I really had a great time.